today is the Finesse Agent Desktop. It's going to launch on the 28th of August. So training is going to be your introduction to your new Finesse Desktop. In training, there are going to be two sessions. One session is going to be getting started, and the document has been written to have practice exercises that are incorporated in the training deck. However, the practice exercises I'm going to be holding off with, and I will be actually doing at the end when I do the live demo. Talking about getting started as well as the call handling. And the getting started portion, once we get through the entire deck, actually, you will have the ability to log into Finesse, understand what's on the main screen, that everyone mute their line. So there's no background or static or anything. I want to make sure, since we have a very large audience, there's probably almost 50 of us now on the call, that everyone can hear, because this is going to be very important to your ability to know how to use Finesse come go live. But you know how to launch the application, log in, understand what you're seeing on the main screen. You will understand the importance of the proper way of logging out, and you'll understand the agent states once we get through the getting started portion. So the application, there is going to be an icon on your desktop that you're going to be able to select. And icon is going to take you to the main screen of Finesse that says Cisco Finesse. If for some reason your desktop does not have the icon on it, there will be a URL that you can access to get to Finesse. However, I do believe everyone's desktop will have the icon on it. Once I've reached that screen that asks for the ID, password, and extension information, you will be entering an agent ID and password that you will be provided live, and you'll also be entering your 10-digit extension that you will find on your Cisco hard phone that sits at your desk. It's a 10-digit number that starts with a 109. We'll enter all 10 of those digits in the extension field. There is a size Mo agent box that can be check marked. However, you will be leaving that blank. You will not be touching that box. So there are 3 fields that you will need to populate, and you will select the sign in box or sign button. What we have is for a successful sign in and no error messages. However, you could possibly receive an error message if you have tried to log in with invalid information. The error message that you could possibly see is if an incorrect name or incorrect password has been entered. If the case, what you would see is floating above the ID box is a message saying that an invalid ID or password was used. Please try again. That doesn't happen as often as the next possible error that you could see. If an extension, you will see a black box that says there's been a sign-in error that is associated with that extension or dialed number is invalid. And that's really going to happen because either not enough digits have been entered, or the incorrect digits were entered, such as you transposed numbers or something like that. That is usually the more common error that is seen, is the little black box, so that the extension is incorrect. So it will be important to make sure that you are entering the valid information. You have entered the valid information. It's going to take you successfully to the main screen of Finesse. And the things on this screen that you will see when you initially log in, the thing in the upper left-hand corner, you are to see your name, along with your ID and your extension. During that, you're going to see a little red ball. Next to that little red ball, it is going to say not ready. That default not ready that the system generates when you initially log in. The other not ready you can choose from, but the system defaults to this one when you initially log in. Next to that, you're going to see a timer that's ticking. You know how long you have been in that particular state. Those are not ready. You're going to see a gray bar that says make a new call. This is known as your status control bar, and I'll talk more about it as we go further into training. Below your your call status control bar is going to be a window that says agent, a live data gadget window, meaning that the information that you see in this window is continuously updating. It updates about every 5 to 10 seconds and is going to allow you to see your name, what state you're in, how long you've been in that state. You happen to be on a call, whether it's an inbound call or an outbound call. We pretty much know that anyway because you're the one handling the session. If we could do our lines so that we're hearing the background noise and static and such, with the training being so important to the 50-plus that are on, we want to make sure that everyone hears the information correctly so they're prepared to use this tool. The agent window, again, is a live data gadget. And we're also going to find that directly below the agent window, there's another live data gadget window known as the skill group window. And this is going to show information about your respective team. So whatever group you happen to be skilled to, whether it be member or provider or member groups or multiple provider groups, whatever the case may be, whatever skill you are a part of, you will see listed down there. It's going to show you how many calls are in queue for each individual skill that you're part of. If there are calls in queue, the call that's been in queue the longest, how many of your team members are logged in, that are logged in, what are their current states. And then on the far right, you'll see there is a 2 interval. And the interval is actually going to show you how many calls have been handled by that particular skill group within the last 30 minutes. So it starts at the top of the hour till the bottom of the hour, and then the bottom of the hour to the top of the hour. So the intervals are 30 minutes long. And then very far right is your today, how many calls were handled by that particular skill group today, and the average handle time is. You'll be able to see your own individual stats in Finesse. It'd be the overall skill group, not your own individual. At the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, and it's not visible on this particular screenshot, but we will see it in a future screenshot, there's an option to send an error report. It's only to be utilized if you have been instructed to do so by the help desk or supervisor. It is troubleshooting purposes, and it will log the errors that we're getting so that they can troubleshoot to the best of their ability to get you up and running again properly. So that option is there. It's only something that will be utilized if you've been instructed to do so. And back up at the very top right-hand corner is a sign out button, and this is a very important part of the system that we will talk about more in depth in just a few screenshots. Agent section is a live data gadget. Have the ability, there is a drop down here that gives you the ability to either leave it as an agent view or agent skill group view. You're probably going to want to leave it at the agent view because when you start selecting the agent skill group, it gives you more data and it's not as pretty. This one is a little bit cleaner for you to look at. You're also going to see that there are some little arrows over here in the upper right-hand corner. When you actually log into Finesse, you are presented with both the agent and the agent skill group gadgets. If you would prefer one over the other be your primary gadget, you can select the little arrows on either of the two windows. And what will happen is that particular window will become the primary window and it will hide the other one. So instead of having two windows on your screen, you would only have one. To restore it back to seeing both, you would just click that little arrow again, and it would just it would bring it back to what it originally had been. So the same thing, you're going to have a drop down that allows you to pick different options, but you're probably going to want to leave it on the skill group default view. There's these little double line buttons, which is actually a pause button. Actually, I cannot think the agent would want to pause a live data feed. You want to see, you know, the most up-to-date information you possibly can. If you pause it, it's just going to pause it and leave it on the screen that the stats that it was paused on. To pause it, you just click that button again. As I mentioned, when you initially log into Finesse, you are put into a default not ready state that is system generated. There are going to be two states that you can select manually. And in the drop down, next to not ready, you see that you have the ability to make yourself ready, which you are now ready to receive the queue calls. Or select an appropriate not ready code based on the situation that you're in. Maybe as soon as you log in the morning, you have a team meeting. And in order to register that you are a team meeting, you could select not ready meeting. So you would select the not ready code that is most appropriate for your particular situation. Two states that you have the capability of manually selecting. There are going to be system generated states such as talking or hold or wrap up, and are going to be dependent upon your phone activity. And you only see those once you're on an active call. So I like to think of Finesse as like a stoplight. It means that stop, no calls are coming to your extension. It means go, calls can start arriving to your extension. Yellow is cautionary or on a call or using the phone. So you can think about the agent states that are available. And it's very easy to select the appropriate one. You just select a little drop down and scroll through the list and pick the one you need to select. As I mentioned, a very important signing out of. We talked about the fact that there is a sign out button over here on the far right-hand corner of the screen. Because it is a web-based application and it actually launches in a browser, some may be like me, and a very bad habit that when I bring up a web page and I'm done with that particular web page, then my way of getting is X out of it. That's not the proper way of signing out of Finesse. X out of Finesse, all you have done is close the browser. You have not officially signed out or logged out of it. So the proper procedure for logging out of Finesse is to go to any of the not ready states. So to be done from a not ready state, you go to your sign out option and you select the reason that you are signing out, whether it's end of shift or a meeting or lunch, whatever the case may be that you are actually logging out. We have selected one of these options. You can see a screen that says you have been signed out of Finesse. That you can X out of the application. So the first step is being not ready. The step is signing out, and then you can X out. If I to sign out from any other state other than not ready, you get an error message telling you that it's unavailable from the current state. So the only state that you can log out from is not ready. Now, it's important because let's say that you X out of your browser and you were still in a ready state. A call could essentially come to your line before you relaunch your browser, and you are unable to answer that call within a specific period of time, which is about 15 to 20 seconds. The call is going to go back into queue, and the system's going to put you into a not ready state, and you will now be charged with an abandoned call. So it's going to hurt our stats by getting, having a bunch of abandoned calls. So it's very important to make sure that you leave your browser open and X out of it, especially from the ready state. Happen to X out of it when you are in the not ready state and leave for the day, the system is still going to be counting that as though you're logged in, because you are technically still logged in because you're in a not ready state. So it could mess up your metrics when it comes to your login and log out times. So we want you right from the beginning to make sure that everyone understands the proper process for logging out, not out, and X out. Everybody, that everybody has it. Appreciate it. I hate to sound like I'm being rude about it, like really forceful, but it is a very important piece of the remember, because it's very important. We will have a bunch of abandoned calls showing up on your line or anything. Well, not a bunch, but any abandoned calls. So the first practice exercise, which we will be doing at the end of the PowerPoint presentation. With your question. And that's your name. I apologize.
And I have a question. Two things, actually. When you talked about you can't see your own call handled or your average time spent handling a call, is information available through your supervisor?
Yes, good question. So your supervisor would be able to run a report and give you your statistical information. You just won't be able to see it yourself in Finesse.
Okay, can you explain what an abandoned call is again? I'll mute while I answer the question.
Okay, so an abandoned call is a call that rings to your extension because you did not answer it within the specified time. And I will tell you that it can ring up times. The calls are going to be sent to you and you have to manually answer them. And if you do not answer it within 5.5 rings, it's sent back to the queue, and the system automatically puts you into a not ready state, and it shows that you had a call offered, but you didn't take it, so it's considered an abandoned call for you.
Yeah, so are you saying it would be better to put yourself not ready because it takes you more than the 3-minute allotted time to put it up? Is it better to do that than the call ring through and go into abandoned state?
Yes. If you're on a call and when that call ends, the system is going to put you in a wrap-up time, and it is going to be a predetermined amount of time for each group, and I don't know what that time frame is, but you mentioned 3 minutes. So let's say that your group does have a wrap-up time of 3 minutes. So while you're on that call, you realize that you're definitely going to need more than 3 minutes. While speaking to that caller, you could go up to your agent states. You could select not ready, call work, follow up. What is it? The system show you as talking, and talking it would say not ready, call work, follow up, pending. When the system would put you into your wrap up, and it would say wrap up, ready, call work, follow up, pending. 3 minutes cycles its way through. If you are still working on that call, the system would automatically put you into that not ready state that you had selected, and could then finish up your work, and you wouldn't have to worry about a call coming to your extension. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Was it was a very good. Okay, great. So for the not ready states, is there time limit? No, you would have, the only one that has a time limit on it is the wrap-up. If you have selected a not ready state, let's say you selected not ready work or clerk follow-up, and you completed your work, and you're sitting there wondering why everyone around you is getting calls and you're not, you have to get yourself ready again. So you would need to manually go up and select ready. Good question. You're very another clue on? I think that the feedback that I have received I was on site yesterday actually at the Anderson building. I was on site Monday and Tuesday doing training in person. And one of the takeaways that I got and the excitement that seemed to be building was the fact that if I am currently at lunch and I'm in a not ready lunch state, when I get back from lunch, if I have a meeting scheduled directly after lunch, I don't have to make myself ready and then select not ready meeting. From ready lunch, I can go straight to not ready meeting. So there's something, oh, good, Brandon. I'm glad you like that with the exclamation marks. That's exciting. That's exactly how the people that I trained in person felt. They said that they felt that was really going to be beneficial. And once you realize that there's going to be positive things in this particular change, I think you'll be more accepting of the change. So, because I know myself, if I know I have a meeting coming up, I don't want to have to worry about going ready and possibly getting a call that could last 10 or 15 or 20 minutes or who knows how long, and being late for the meeting or missing it completely and having to, know the information. So you said that you can select follow-up while talking to the caller. Wait a minute. Go back. Let's see. While talking with the caller, but can you change to the status if you are currently in the wrap-up status? And yes, absolutely. So as long as you are on either an active call talking or you are in the wrap-up time, you can go up and select a not ready code. One call has officially ended by meaning that you have you didn't select a code and your wrap-up has ended. It puts you right back into a ready state. So as you are either talking or in wrap-up, you can select a not ready state. Great question. As we go on, that's great. Oh, why can't it get there? There we go. All right, so we talked about logging out. All right, so it will come right in. And you're exactly right. Roy Ann said questions will come after you start doing it, and that's exactly what will happen. You can sit and go through training and really feel confident and comfortable with everything until that first call comes in, and then you forget everything you learned. I understand that. I've worked in a contact center before myself, so I completely can empathize with each one of you sitting here on this call. I've been in your shoes before as well. So I see somebody saying select not ready. There must have been a question. I think Charles had a question, and it went away before I had a chance to answer it. So let's see. Just to not ready and abandoned call questions. You noted that abandoned calls would be documented and may be negative implications. The same to be said of excessive time spent in not ready status. And again, that is something that can be addressed, I'm sure. They're going to be able to see how much time. Reports are going to be able to be ran to see how much not ready time an agent has been in, and if it's something that truly, like if you have an 8-hour shift and you've spent 6 hours in not ready, that probably is something that needs to be addressed. Or if even over half of your time has been spent in not ready without a legitimate reason, I'm sure that would definitely address. So yes, abandoned calls would be, looked at, and so would excessive time spent not ready. But that would be up to your manager to discuss with you. And let's see, so if you need follow-up time after the call, you should select it before the call ends. Not necessarily, because as soon as you can either select it before the call ends, or as the call ends, you are put into that predetermined wrap-up time. And I don't know what it is for each group. So the group only has 30 seconds of predetermined wrap-up time. If that's the case, that 30 seconds could go by pretty quick. With choose it, you have the chance of probably get another call, whereas if you have chosen it while you're on the call talking, know that it's definitely going to go to the not ready state. So depend upon your group and how much you have of the predetermined wrap-up, or remember to do it. Hopefully, Joanne, does that serve? Moving into the live demo, I'll be able to demonstrate both ways, where I don't select it and I go into wrap-up and select it from wrap-up, or select it while I'm talking to the caller. So I'll be able to share both of those scenarios with you when we get into the live demo. Questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'll answer them as quickly as I can when I see them pop up in the chat window, or if you happen to break the line and come in and start talking, that's fine as well. Agent information area on the Finesse screen, I've already talked about this, where it provides your first and last name, your agent ID, as well as your extension, its current state, and how long you've been in that current state. The down here is where you are able to make yourself either ready or not ready for the applicable written, and also where you sign out of Finesse. And another note, before closing your browser, you must sign out first. If you sign out, you will remain logged into Finesse even though your browser has been closed. So we got that enough. The slide is going to talk about that status call control bar that I was mentioning earlier. And you are initially logged in and you are in any not ready state, your is going to say make a new call. So with in mind, that means to make an outbound call, you have to be in a not ready state. There's not a specific not ready state that says not ready outbound call. The question was asked of yesterday, what would be the appropriate to select? That's something that you need to discuss with your manager. There's an option that's not ready non-ACD call. CD stands for automatic call distribution, which is a queue call. So that would mean that I'm not on a queue call, and maybe mean that I'm on an outbound call. I don't know, that's my thinking, but that doesn't mean that my thinking is correct. So you would definitely want to talk with your manager and ask them which ready code they want you to use for outbound calls. Ready, your status control bar is going to change, and it's now going to say ready for incoming calls. And that's the only thing that can happen, is you can receive queue calls. And an active call, whether it be an inbound or an outbound, you're now going to see your status control bar. It's going to show the phone number, if it's inbound call, which the caller is calling from, so it's like their caller ID. And then also going to have your status control bar buttons, putting your caller on hold. So this is your examples of what your status call control bar will look like, depending on your state. First one is not ready. One is ready, and it says ready for incoming calls. An example is while I am on a call. To the call handling section. In section, we're going to talk about how to answer the calls, what's up when the call comes in, how to call, those call control buttons such as the keypad, and retrieve, about how you make an outbound call. Also talk about transferring, consulting, and conferencing. And once we get through this, you will be able to feel comfortable in performing these tasks. The first to talk about answering calls. So sitting at your desk with your headset on and in the ready state, you're going to be routed to the agent who has been available the longest. So you're up next. You're going to hear a ringing in your headset. It is automatically going to take you from that green ready to a reserved. What it means is that a call has come to your extension. You just not accepted it yet. To accept it or to connect to the caller, you're going to hit the answer button. The green answer button over here on the right-hand side of the bar. And it's going to, again, show you the phone number that it's coming from, and there's going to be a white box down here. It's called the call information grid. And it's going to show specific information about that particular call. Depending upon what group you're taking calls for, different information will populate. If I do not select this answer button within 5.5 rings, they're going to go back into the queue and it'll place you in a not ready state. And it's the default not ready state. There's not going to be anything behind it. It's just going to be not ready. That abandoned call will be counted against you. Is how you answer the call. So once you have in fact selected the answer option, you're to your caller. The system now has placed you into a talking state. Here's a timer letting you know how long you have been on that particular call, as all of your call control buttons. The group that you are with could see different information populate. This particular example is from the CRRC group. They have a CCB or courtesy callback that they have as part of their call flow. And if any of you happen to be part of a group that has that, what you would see is in this information grid, you would see system callback, as well as the gadget would say callback. All, depending upon your group, this could be another screen pop that you would actually see. This is an example of a new case that populated based on the information that the caller inputted as the IVR prompts. If screen pop came up, we do have the ability to select this dynamic pop, and it will pop a screen for you. It will not have any previous information on it. Or if you accidentally X'd out of the first case that came up and you had already populated some information in it, but you X'd out it by mistake, initiate a new case for that particular call. However, none of the information that you had previously entered would be retained. But dynamic pop would allow a new case to be populated for you. Example of the billing screen pop. It's called CA Billing Gadget, and there's also a member help desk screen pop, and it's known as the member help desk gadget. It's going to pop depending upon your respective skill group when the call comes in. That active call, you're going to see an end button. It's bright red, very right of your status call control bar. So there's no way to accidentally select that button because, again, it's bright red. It's the only red button on the bar, and it's far enough away from all of your other buttons that you may need to use during the call that shouldn't be easily accessible to. You would have to move your mouse over there to select it. Now, we'll disconnect the call, whether it be a situation where you need to end the call or the caller hangs up, whichever way it is, that's when the call will automatically end and you are put into that wrap-up state. This will show you in wrap-up, and wrap-up time is counted towards your overall handle time for that call. The time you select answer and until that wrap-up is either expired or you selected ready or a not ready code, that will be your overall handle time for that particular call. So if you've placed them on hold, you spoke with them, whatever the case may be, this wrap-up time is included in your overall handle time. In the event that, let's say, you have 3 wrap up and you need no wrap up at all, you manually go up and place yourself into a ready state to continue taking calls, or you could go up and select a not ready state if there was something you needed to do. Hit and end the call using the buttons on the phone or the links on the browser. You can use the buttons on the hard phone. However, Finesse is what records for reporting purposes. All of the information is recorded. So you would want to, for reporting purposes, use the actual button on the Finesse screen. There's an exception to that. There is one button on the hard phone that we'll want to utilize once we get to that scenario, because Finesse does not have this button. And we'll talk about what that button is in just a moment. That answered your question, Brandon. At least it's Brandon that asked it. Rather quickly. Oh, sorry. Not using my name. Well, sorry, I didn't see that part. Sorry, it really wasn't him that asked the question. It was someone else. Anyway, you will want to use the buttons on the Finesse screen. Anonymously asking questions. Now, state you're only going to receive queue calls. You're going to receive calls from members, providers, whoever it is that calls in. When you are in a not ready state, a worker or internal call could come to your line and it would ring, even if you're in that not ready state, and you would be able to answer that call. So keep in mind that when you're receiving queue calls, when you are not ready, the only calls that you could possibly receive would be an internal call. Are on that active phone call, whether it's an inbound or an outbound call, you are going to have access to some call control buttons. And the button is going to provide ability. The hold, of course, is what you're going to use to place your caller on hold and hear some lovely hold music. For my ending, the hold music that you will be that will be available now is going to be better than what you had. The hold music that you're getting is nothing fancy, so I don't know what you have right now, but I'm glad that some folks are excited about the new hold music. Consult option is going to be your starting point for any conference or consultation call that you need to make. And when I say transfer, I mean like a warm transfer where an introduction would be needed. You have initiated that consult button. That's when you're going to see that extra transfer or conference button. Right now, you do not see a transfer or a conference because it's only available once consult has been initiated. And that's going to allow you to transfer a call without any type of introduction or basically a cold transfer. You receive a call and they are looking for the pharmacy and you're actually home care, you could direct transfer to the pharmacy line. So that would be a reason for the direct transfer. And then, of course, there is the end button. Keypad is going to open up a phone keypad. And let's say you've made an outbound call and it's asking you to enter an extension and you know that, or it's asking for some kind of code before you get to where you're going. This is where you would be able to enter that and either use the mouse to go up and click the digits, or use the numbers on your keypad, and that will dial the digits as well. An active caller on the line, you will have the ability to place them on hold. So in this example, you can see that I am speaking to the caller. I have been for 44 seconds. I need to place them on hold. Press the hold button. What happens then is that I now see a retrieve button. I also over here on the left-hand side see a double ticker or a double timer. On the far left is going to be the timer or ticker that counts how long I have had the caller on hold. And here in parentheses is going to be my overall handle time for the call. So if you'd be part of a group that has a policy that you really shouldn't keep your caller on hold for more than 45 seconds without updating them, you'll be able to see that they've been on hold and go back and update them within a respectable amount of time. Let me go. I've seen a question. When keypad, does that mean the 10 key on the keyboard or the hard buttons on the phone? On the keyboard itself, on the keyboard. So on your keyboard of your computer, your laptop, whatever it is that you're using, those would be the digits that you would want to use, not on the hard phone itself. The hard phone as decorative purposes only. The phone that's sitting on your desk. So let me just back up for 1 minute. The phone that is sitting on your desk is going to be where you plug your headset into. So on the back of that phone, there's going to be a port that you plug your headset in that allow you to answer your calls through your headset. That also is going to show you what your extension is, your 109 number that you log in with. The hard is going to have your volume control as far as raising or lowering the sound through your headset and the function that the hard phone is going to have. But other than that, the hard phone is really for decorative purposes only when you are doing your call handling. Does that make sense? Okay, great. As far as why you're changing, I already answered that. That would be an organization question that you would need to ask your manager. I give him the messenger. So some of the, the new system, you're liking it so far. Why are we changing from the old? Sometimes you need change to something new to see some improvement. It may help with your metrics, things like that. The overall caller experience may be improved by the system. There's, it could be a number of reasons, but if you're really one reason, that would be a question you would need to present to your manager or the state of SOTA, I guess.
The reason, this is David Sandbeck, I'm a project manager on this, is the old system's falling out of support. So the infrastructure itself is out of support, and when it's out of support, it's easily hackable. And so we want to avoid that kind of embarrassment. So we need to get this transition cut over before October is the end of that.
Thanks, David. I appreciate you stepping in and answering that. That's better than what I was saying, so thank you. All right. You will be able to see the hold time so that you can go back and appropriately update the caller if necessary. Practice exercise, we'll skip over that because we will get to that, the real demo here shortly. To make a call, if you remember correctly, you do need to be in the not ready state. So we are in that not ready state. You need to make an outbound call. Select the make a new call bar. And when you do that, it's going to open up a dial pad that all has a list of contacts / phone book attached to it. The phone book that is being built by your managers of each respective group based frequently called numbers. When you need to make a call, that number may be in the list. Depending on the situation, you may have to dial an external number of a member that, of course, is not going to be in the phone book. You would have to dial those digits manually. But this is going to be a list of commonly called numbers. This list of contacts is not editable by you personally. However, in the event that you come across a frequently called number that is not part of your list of contacts, you can let your manager know, and a ticket can be submitted to have that contact added to the phone book. Managers are actually with the list of contacts that they want in each respective group's list of contacts. Now, you open this up and you see this list of contacts and you see the keypad, you'll notice that this call button is grayed out. You cannot make the call yet. to be text in this box above your keypad. So to get text in there, you can either manually enter it or use your phone book. And there's a couple of different ways, actually 3 different ways of using the phone book. If you're fortunate enough that the contact that you're wanting to reach is on this very first page, great. All you have to do is highlight that row, and whatever phone number is associated with that contact, it's going to populate those digits, and you have to enter anything at that point. If you want to scroll through your list of contacts, this is the second way. You can just scroll through the list until you find it. Again, depending upon the size of your list of contacts, that could be time consuming, and we want your, we want to make things as efficient for you as possible. So the best way is going to be going up here to your search box and start entering criteria. As you start typing in the criteria, it's going to search in all of the fields of this list of contacts for that criteria and narrow it down to just the contacts that have that information associated with them until you have entered you want to enter and you've located your contact. So you pick one that you see immediately, scroll, or you can search. That's using your contact list. Actually needing to call an external number, say a member that's not part of my contact list, of course, what I need to do is I would need to dial 9 to get out, a digit number if it's a local number, and 91 if it's a long distance number. Once entering manually the text in there, my call button is going to be turned, it's going to enable to be turned green, and I can then use it. That call button is green and I have all the digits entered, I can press call and it will start dialing the call for me. If I change my mind and I don't want to make a new call, all I have to do is cancel and it will collapse the list of contacts and just take me back to the make a new call bar. Once all the dialing process has started, this is going to take me from that not ready state and put me into a talking state because I am now officially talking and my line is tied up, so it will not send me any queue calls. So we'll then be in a talking state and I am going to be able to talk with the person that I called. About the different ways that you can make as far as selecting it from the phone book or typing it in, and also about entering the 1 or the 9-1. Moment, please. And that's the next screen just is another practice exercise, which we'll be doing when we get into the live demo. I'm going to talk about the transferring and consulting, also conferencing. When you're on that active call, you are going to have the ability to transfer to another person, create a conference call if maybe you have a language line call, or consult with another person if you need some additional information about something. But all those activities are initiated with that consult button. Now, something to keep in mind, I am on the phone and I am talking to Brandon. He is my member that has called in, and I'm speaking with him. And I realize that I'm not able to handle this situation on my own, and some assistance. I'm going to need to get with Royanne. So I am going to let Brandon know that I'm going to need to research this a little further. It's just going to take me a moment. At consult, I press the consult button. When I consult, it's going to open. Now, I already admitted to you guys that I like to X out of web pages. Something that I also do is I am a mumbler. I talk to. So speaking with Brandon about a situation, and I realized that I don't know the answer because I'm fairly new to my job and I don't know everything that I probably should know. So I need to contact Royanne, and oh my goodness, I forget what department Royanne's part of. I don't know how to get to Royanne. Guess what Brandon's hearing? Brandon is hearing everything that I just mumbled to myself. When I selected that consult button, I was still on an active live call. This is your hard phone. Remember, there was one exception for it being other than just decorative purposes, something you would use the hard phone for. There's no mute button in Finesse. To mute your line while you talk to yourself or maybe ask your neighbor a question, or you sneezed or you coughed or whatever the case may be, you want to use the mute button on your hard phone. Your caller is going to hear everything that's going on. I'm not the only one, Roy Ann. Thank you for admitting it. So the caller is going to hear everything that is happening in the background or under my breath or wherever it may be until I have officially hit the call button. So important to use the mute button if necessary. The other important piece to that is if I have used the mute button and I put a number to call someone, so I've dialed Roy Ann's number and I've hit call. What's going to happen now is my caller, which was Brandon, or my original caller, he's now on hold because it says retrieve, and I have Roy Ann down here on my second line and with her. And she's going, hello, is there anybody there? And I'm just talking away. She's hearing me because I forgot to take the mute off. So just keep in mind that if you do use the mute button, to make sure you take it off before you start talking to the other party. And I know it may sound silly, but it actually has happened in every training session that I've ever done when I talk about this, and it even happened yesterday on site. It's very easy to forget to take that mute button off. But you know that you've successfully now connected with the other person or other party so that you can ask them some questions. Brand's on hold, and I have Roy Ann, and I'm speaking with her. Now, I mentioned I'm new at my job. I don't know all of the answers. So I ask Roy Ann, I tell her the situation, and I need help with an answer. And she she'd be more than happy to help me, but I can gather enough information from the member. I need to go back to the member. So to alternate or toggle or swap whatever verbiage you want to use between the two, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here and I'm going to retrieve Brandon. And when I retrieve Brandon, it now is going to put Roy on hold. Gather the information from Brandon that I need, item for it, and I come down here and I retrieve Roy Ann. And when I retrieve Roy Ann, it now is going to put Brandon back on hold. So things could happen. I give Roy Ann the information that Brandon gave me, and she's like, oh, okay, great. You know, this is an easy one. All you need to do is tell Brandon ABC. And Brandon doesn't really need to talk to Roy Ann because I can now confidently give Brandon information that he needs, and he will have a very happy one-call resolution, and if he did any kind of survey, he would be thrilled with my help. In case I no longer need Roy's assistance on this particular call. Which one of these end buttons would I want to use to remove Roy Ann from the call? You can either in the chat or you can unmute yourself and tell me top or bottom.
Bottom.
Good. Exactly. If I were to have selected the top one, I just hung up on Brandon. I don't want that to happen. We want to make sure that we are removing the correct party from the call. In your CTIOS that you're currently using, you have the reconnect button. And now that when you select reconnect, that it removes you from the person you were actively speaking with. Basically what this end button is also going to do. It's going to end the call with the person you were most recently speaking with. So if Roy Ann did not hang up first, and I just wanted to get her call, nothing against you there, but I just want to get back to Brandon, I could hit end. It would come up and retrieve, and Roy Ann would no longer be part of the call. One scenario. The second scenario could be that based on the information that I had gathered from Brandon, Roy Ann decides that can't handle the call myself. She really needs to take over the call. So in case I could transfer the call to Roy Ann by hitting transfer, and the call would go to her, or I assume the call goes to her, and I put in my wrap-up state. Possible scenario, and I don't know if this has ever happened to any of you, whether when you were working in the contact center or possibly as a consumer. you have called different places, and when they tell you they have to transfer you, you end up getting disconnected, or you don't go to the right place, and it ends up being, should have been a 2-minute call, ends up being a 22-minute call, and it's just frustrating. Brandon is a member who does not want to be transferred. He does not want me just sending him on his way because it never works out for him. He's ensured that he is speaking to the other party. In case, what I could do, it could hit conference. See, on this particular, it could be a warm transfer, but if I want to ensure that, that Brandon and Royanne are speaking, in this example, you can see that I have Brandon up here. He's on hold. And I have Royanne down here on this status control bar. Each of us are on a different bar. I've explained to Royanne that Brandon doesn't want to be transferred, shows why he needs to come to her, and I let her know that I'm going to go ahead and bring him over and introduce him. And hit the conference button. And automatically join the three of us together. Those numbers will now appear in my status control bar. Numbers are now showing up in my status control bar. I have Royanne on the line. She'll be able to further assist you. Royanne, this is Brandon. When I hear them speaking, I then excuse myself from the call and come over here and hit the end button. When I hit the end button, all it does is remove me from the conference, and it allows Royanne and Brandon to continue their conversation. You have the ability to bring in a fourth person if necessary. So that would be myself, Brandon, who was the original person calling, and also someone else if necessary, maybe an interpreter or whatever the case may be. You have a total of 4 people online, and I'll show you how to bring that additional person in. But once you have created the conference, if you leave it, it does not end the entire conference. All it does is take you out of the conference. Does that make sense? And my understanding, it seems as though this process for a conference is a little less complicated and a little smoother than what the process is you have now currently. And the people I trained on Monday and Tuesday seem to like that as well. It's a good thing. So we're some very positive things about the new system. Thing is that this and the actual PowerPoint presentation, and it allows us now to go into the live demo, which is the best part, I think. I'm going to go far. Okay, great. I've already logged into the Finesse application. As we learned in the PowerPoint presentation, when you initially log in, you got to this main screen that's going to show your name, your ID, and your extension, to your state of being not ready and how long you've been in it. I'm a slacker. I've been not ready for an hour. I've not taken one call. Probably for my stats, I'm probably going to get a coaching session for that. Through that is my make a new call status bar because I'm in a not ready state. Hint live gadget window. You can see it's ticking as well, showing the same time that is up here. Ability to select an agent skill group, and when I do that, it's going to show obviously that I'm part of the Cisco Voice skill group. Everyone is part of it, and any additional skill groups. I find this one to be a little bit busy. I prefer just the agent. Okay. If more than one person were logged in to Finesse as they're on my team, I would actually be able to see all of the people that were part of my team logged in under this agent box. From my understanding, it is being worked on that you will only see your own information. your own name, because that can be quite distracting if you see 10 other team members listed here, because you're paying attention to what they're doing as opposed to, you know, really focusing on what's going on with your callers or what have you. I wanted to make this my primary window. You can see that I have an agent window and a skill group window. If you go over here to the agent window and click those little arrows, it's my primary window. If I want to revert back, I just go over here and select the arrows, and it takes it back to the original view. I prefer like the skill group window myself, because this is going to show you statistics of the skill groups that you are assigned to. So I am only assigned to the skill test group. If any calls are in queue, are the call that's been in queue the longest. Members of this particular skill group are logged in. What their current state is. So you can see there's one person logged in and they're currently not ready. To interval, as I mentioned in the PowerPoint presentation, this is going to show you in the past 3-minute interval from the top of the hour to the bottom of the hour and from the bottom to the top. It's only 2:07, so no calls have been handled in the past 7 minutes, so that's why 0. For today, this skill test group, there have been 10 calls that have been handled. Average handle time is 2 minutes and 19 seconds. So able to see that. Here's the pause button, as I was mentioning. It's paused. There's a little red exclamation point, and it's not going to update any information, but then just unpause it. And again, I have no good reason why that pause button would be utilized. If you guys can think of one, that's fantastic. I can't think of one that really anything. So from this drop-down is you can change your state. So you'll see that there is a not ready, break lunch, not ready, call work follow-up, coaching, consulting, meeting, non-ACD, not ready by supervisor, the project, training. You would select the one that's most appropriate, or you can make yourself ready. Once yourself ready, this turns green, and if I come over here and try to sign out, that I'm unable to because it says it's unavailable from the current state. Be ready to sign out. Now you can now see that my status control bar says I'm ready for incoming calls. And down here, this changed. There's one logged in, and now there's one person ready. So you can see how this is real time, and it's pulling live information. What I'll do is I'm going to place a call into the queue. If you remember right, we talked about from that ready state, when a call comes in, it's going to show you as reserved. So they're reserved. Here's the number that the call is coming in from. So this is my caller ID information. Shows the call type, the member ID, and this is the information that would show up. I have 5.5 rings in which to answer it. Here's my answer button. I answer it within 5.5 rings. So this put me into a not ready state. So now I have an abandoned call that to count against me. And I look down here at my skill group things. I now show that there's one call in queue. And you can hear this, the music a little bit. That's old music. Not, it's like your cue music, I guess. I'll show you the hold music as well. So the hold music's going to be just a little bit different. So let me go ahead and go back up here now. I'm going to go ahead and make myself ready again. And I'm now going to answer it. So the system is showing me it's talking. Here shows me how long I've been on the call. Here's my call control buttons. Caller on hold. Hold, on hold, and now I have my 2 tickers. This tells how long I've been on hold and how long I've been on the call overall. And I have no way on my house phone of making the sound any louder. I don't use my house phone only but for things like this, so I bought a cheapy one. So I hear some of that hold music or not. I've got it right up to the speaker on my cell phone, but it's not loud enough. On hold, the call abandoned. Does the call go to the next longest rep available? Okay, that's a great question. And that was actually brought up in the last session. So the call doesn't get answered. Does it go to the top of the queue or to the bottom? And the answer that I received, give me 1 second here, because it did ask. Where are we at? There we go. So goes to Rona due to not being answered. Does it go to the top of the queue or to the bottom of the queue? It technically goes back to the back of the line, but we rate the priority above the other calls in queues, so it gets answered next. So hopefully that answers your question. So let's go to the bottom, but it gets a higher priority, which means it actually gets answered next. So bottom. You're welcome, Tara. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and retrieve. Okay, let's see. Does the caller hear the ring or continue to hold music while the ringing is on our side? Music. Until they're going to hold music until the call is answered. So if it goes to another extension and it's ringing, I'm still going to hear hold music until that call is answered. If that call doesn't get answered, I'm just going to start hearing the music again. The queue music again. So that poor customer is going to continuously hear the music. Our customer on hold for 2 minutes and 28 seconds. I think that's kind of an excessive amount of time. So I'm going to go ahead and retrieve them. And that after all that hold time, that they should have probably went to the pharmacy instead of where they're at. So I can select this direct transfer. It brings up my list of contacts. I can select from the list of contacts and wanted to search for a specific contact because there's quite a few here. If I type in CIC, it's going to filter and look for any contact that has that associated with any of its fields. So that particular result for me, it calculated the number. And when you select the direct transfer option, you'll see that the word transfer, and if I hit call, would then be transferred to that particular skill group. If I send it there, I don't have to. So I just want to show you what it looked like for the direct transfer. What is that I need some help from someone else. So I just hit the consult button. Knocking, and I realize also that my lunch is coming up. So I select not ready lunch, and you'll see where it says talking, not break lunch pending. And I continue on this call as long as I want, and it's still going to continue to say that. So I'm going to hit the consult button. I realize that I need to make a phone call. So I am going to call my helper. Oh, my helper's phone number. I better look it up. What caller hearing while this is all happening? Yep, exactly. They're hearing me. How could I prevent them from hearing me? Excellent. Excellent. So I could have them on mute on my hard phone. I enter the phone number that I want to dial, and I'm going to hit call. Now, see right now that there's just one status control bar here. I'm now call. Now on hold because it's retrieved and it's calling the other party. Answer. And I'll have two status control bars here. So my original caller's on hold, and I'm speaking to my helper. My helper tells me that they need some additional information, so I can go here and hit retrieve. It's my helper on hold. I speak back to my original caller. I'll go ahead and either put them on hold or come down here and hit retrieve, and that will place the first caller on hold again. And now that I've gotten the information, I no longer need my helper's assistance. I can here and hit end, or transfer the call and send them to my helper, or I create a conference, whichever situation I want to do. I'm going to go ahead and hit transfer. System put me in wrap up, not ready, pending. Now, the ability to either go and change this if I don't want to sit here and wait for the minutes or 3 minutes or whatever the time frame is for that wrap up to end, or can let the wrap up cycle through and the system will automatically take me to this state. Does that make sense? Okay, to kind of maybe run a cycle here. You'll see that it says work not ready. What it means is that this is the equivalent of wrap up here in the stats, because it says one person logged on and they're in wrap up. Now, to show that we've handled any calls in this particular interval, because call is officially not over yet. It's not until that call has actually ended, whether me going ready or me selecting a not ready code. So technically, I am still on this same call. Even though I'm not actively speaking to someone, I'm in wrap up that's associated with that call. 28 seconds, minute and 29. I think it's 2 minutes. There, a minute and a half. So straight to not ready break. Now I've handled one call in that half hour, and my today has increased to 11. Go up. Another scenario. I'm going to place. I get a call. I'm talking with my caller. They're driving down the highway in their car, and the call ends unexpectedly. I didn't have a chance to pick a ready code. I go wrap up, and from this wrap up, I can pick a code, and it will be there. So I hope that answers the question that was asked earlier. Can you select a not ready code? You have to select a not ready code while you're talking to the call. You do not. You need to make sure you select it for wrap up ending. That scenario in that example showed you what you were asking earlier. Okay, I'm going to go back in. I'm going to call. And I realized that this caller does not speak English. I need an interpreter that speaks Mandarin. So I'm going to need to consult. I would be able to select, the language line will be included in the contact. So able to select language line from that list, or however it's listed in, however you have it identified. And enter this number that I'm going to be calling. I'm going to go and hit call. Now my Mandarin speaking customer is on hold, and I'm tapping the language line, and I let them know when they answer that I need someone who speaks Mandarin, and they'll get them on however your language line works. I don't know what you have to do to get the proper speaking person on the line. See now that I have two independent calls going on. I'm now go ahead and hit conference. Now, conference, you will see I have one call because the two calls merged into one. Dealing with this call, I realized that I need someone from from a county office on the line also. What I can do is I have the interpreter on the line and I have the Mandarin speaking on the line. I hit consult. What I do, guys, is I'm going to dial my own phone number. You're going to lose contact with me for one moment, but I will be right back. Just see that I don't need all of a sudden. Hopefully it's my phone number. Okay, go ahead and hit call. Yes. All right. Hopefully. Okay, 3 phone numbers populated in here. When I did the consult again, down another number, and then conferenced it in, there were actually 3 participants plus myself. And if I need to stay in this conference, of course, which line I'm going to, because the interpreter doesn't know our business. They wouldn't know how to truly assist. But let's say that this was, yeah. Well, total of 4, yourself and 3 additional parties. So you can have 4 people on a conference call. One would be yourself, one would be the original caller, and then the example I just gave was the interpreter and a county worker. So at that point, I could remove myself, and there was initially 4, and 4 is the max. Good question. And to be part of this call any longer, I could go ahead and hit end, get out of the call, and the other 2 parties are speaking. And I can either make myself ready or I make myself not ready. So I made myself not ready. It's lunchtime. I went to lunch. I had lunch. Back from lunch, and oh, I have a team meeting that I forgot about. So if this not ready code, I can go up here to break lunch, and it's not ready meeting, and my meeting. And now that my meeting's over, I need to go to here, and I can go to not ready training, ready, take a couple calls, and now time for my day to end. I am out of here. So I remember that Barb lady told us in training that you have to be not ready to get out of the system. So I go not ready. Am I going to be able, do I want to X out of the system now? Once not ready, do you want to X out at the end of the day? Good. So you would go here and you would select sign out. And see a screen that says you have been signed out of Finesse application. This is a Happy Dance screen when you're at the end of the day. You've been out, now you can X out. Or you could click here to sign back in. Back in. What questions or concerns do you have? A big demo that we did. Are you all excited and ready to start using this on the 28th? Me? Screen pop in the training environment that I'm using. Real world, there will be a screen pop. I just can't simulate that because I'm not calling in, I'm calling in on a test number, and none of the data that I have is real. And I would also need to be logged into the application that, or, you know, if there's for those cases to come up, I don't know if there's like an application that I have to be logged in before that screen pop would pop up or not. I'm not sure how. Your screen pops that you currently have are going to work the same way. They're just not integrated into Finesse. If your member has to call in and enter like a member ID or some type of information, that will get sent to the database for the screen pop application, and it will pop and bring up any information that is associated with that. Does that make sense? I'm explaining that correctly. Again, I don't work with your screen pops. I just know that they have been integrated into the system and they've been tested. So it is working as it should be. And if some of you aren't able to read the chats as quickly as they're coming in, let me scroll back up here, because it sounds like some folks are doing a really good job at explaining things that maybe I'm not understanding correctly. Or what is screen pop used? Okay, and then reading questions through chat. Can you please read the questions out loud before answering? We don't see those questions on the screen. Okay, I'm sorry. It's because some of the questions are being sent, it looks like privately, as opposed to the to the entire group. So let me scroll back up and make sure that I haven't missed anything. So I already answered for the not ready statuses. Are there time limits to ready, or you must change, or must you change it to ready? I already addressed that it does need to be manually changed to ready. The only one that's going to have a limit on it is the wrap up, and that will be a predetermined amount that will automatically expire and take you either to a ready state if you have not selected a not ready, or take you to that not ready state if you have selected one. I mentioned that you can select call follow-up while talking with the caller, but can change to this status if you are currently in the wrap-up status. Yes, you can. I believe I addressed that one as well. We took the not ready and the abandoned calls. In fact, that excessive time spent not ready could also be a negative impact on you. Talk about if you need follow-up time after the call, you can either select it before the call ends, or you can select it while you're in the wrap-up, before the wrap-up ends. I talked about using the buttons on the hard phone or the soft phone. About the keypad, does that mean, it does mean the keypad on the actual computer, not on the phone. Why we're switching to the new system. Let me see here. Talk about the if a call does not get answered, about where it goes in line. We taught the caller hearing. Can you just continue to hear the cue music while it's ringing, waiting to reach another rep? Okay. Here. Take us down to the screen pop. So the question was, what is screen pop used? So, and because I am not part of your organization and have the full understanding of screen pop, but from my understanding, screen pop is based on information that your callers call in with through the IVR system, and they are maybe asked to enter a social security number or a member ID or a plan number, thing to that effect. And once that information is entered, depending upon the type of call that it is, I believe there's an app that will take information into its database and then bring up information about the caller for you to be able to better assist them. I mean, I guess you guys would probably be able to better answer that question. And, you know, if I answered that correctly, because it looks like that it get explained, but it didn't get explained to the whole group. So if there was someone, if more than you are having questions about screen pop, maybe something you want to ask your man. If it's something that you're not familiar with, you may want to ask your managers about it more on a one-on-one session, so they can explain it for each individual group. That would be the best answer that I have for you. As for wrap-up time, it is dependent upon different groups, from my understanding. Some groups have like a minute and a half, some may have 2, some may have 3, some may have 30 seconds, I don't know. So that would be a question you would want to ask your manager, what the predetermined wrap time is, because I don't have the breakdown. As far as the recorded meeting, what I will do with it is I will be sending it a link to David, and he will be able to load it to some location that everyone has access to. So you will be able then to review it whenever you like. PowerPoint presentation, David also has a copy of. So if you are needing to look at the PowerPoint presentation again, you can ask him for that. As far as how long the recording he keeps, that would be up to him. Once I send it to him and he has it downloaded, I have to delete it from my server because I have limited space as to recording can save. So I do ask that once I send it to him that he try to get it downloaded or save it to a location as quickly as possible, that I can record additional sessions for other, because I have I believe 4 more sessions just for the state of Minnesota this week. So they get him to do that as quickly as possible. And I know they'll be available as long as he keeps them wherever he has them loaded. So he saves them at least until after the go live. That would give you time to review them between now and you know, actually start using the system. Good question. Do you have observations? I hope you're excited about the smooth transition to conference. I hope you're excited about the fact that you do not have to make yourself ready to go into another not ready state. So those are positive things. I appreciated all of the input and questions, and I really enjoyed the engagement with session. This was a very large group to be, so I really hope that everyone was able to get what they need out of session to make them successful. And everything you learned by the first day. If the call comes in, you're going to be like, oh no, what do I do? But after you have answered your first call, you'll be moving with it, because that's one of the very first things you have to do is answer the call. Does this new system also record the calls for SUPS to monitor our calls? The Finesse system, the supervisors will have a desktop that is just like yours so that they can take calls exactly the way you do. They have an additional function that allows them 2 or 3 additional pieces because our supervisors, and one of them is the ability to monitor calls that you're on. So supervisors will have the ability to monitor. Before we were able to use the buttons on our phone and on screen, there's no longer an option, only mute. Correct. For the calls to be, for all of reporting purposes, we want you to use the actual Finesse phone. Not the hard phone functions are going to be there in an emergency, but on a day-to-day basis, we want you to use the actual Nest system. So mute button would really be the only button you would use every day on the hard phone. And it's just to sit there and look pretty. An attractive phone, as far as phones go. Questions? Ask you guys a question. If I were on a call and a caller on hold, would I be able to transfer that caller? And not be able to transfer them? For those that answers, the call needs to be active because I did not use the consult. Very good. Excellent. That particular function is probably one of the more challenging ones to remember, because some phone systems allow you to be on hold and actually do a transfer, and with Nest you cannot. So you need to, I'm very excited that that you were able to jump right up and say that I will not be able to transfer a call in a hold position. The only thing that I can do once that call is on hold is to retrieve it. Good. And yes, this is Finesse version 11.5. That is correct. Someone familiar with Finesse in other versions? Yes, this is version 11.5. It would stat down here, very bottom, in the very small print. I don't know how well you can see the screen, but it does say Cisco Finesse version 11.5. So is everyone somewhat excited and anxious to get this new system up and running? Be fine. You'll be fine. The first day, you'll all be pros. Like I was saying earlier, once you answer your first call, you'll be a pro at answering calls, because it's doing things over and over again, and every call that you answer, that's the first step of every call, is actually answering it. So after you've received your first half hour or hour of calls, you're going to be pros at answering calls. Once you call her on hold and retrieve them a couple of times, you'll be pros at holding and retrieving. Once on your first transfer, you go at it, because again, it's repetition. And once you've done it 2 or 3 times, it's like you've been doing it forever. So I think it will come very easy, easier and quicker for some than for others, but that's to be expected. Change be difficult, but once you start seeing the positive things that are coming out of it, and the the fact that it makes your job easier, as well as dealing with the callers, it will for you. And if no additional questions or concerns, are the sheets? Oh, very good question. So you have to ask David about cheat sheets, because it is actually a cheat sheet that is like a condensed version of the PowerPoint presentation. he possibly could send to you in soft copy, or if you are at a location somewhere, that could be handed out to you. Definitely, what I will do is I will follow up. I'm an email when we get off of this call, letting him know that all of the participants that were on remote sessions this week would like a soft copy of the cheat sheet that was handed out. It's known as a quick reference guide. I think it would be very helpful. It's going to show you like screenshots. Let me see if I can quickly pull it up. One moment. Here I go. I am doing my little talking myself. Let me stop sharing for just 1 minute. Updated cheat sheets for a client, and they were so well that other clients started using them because of benefits. Because you're trained on something that is into place for a couple of weeks, kind of like in the situation that you're in right now, and it's nice to have that cheat sheet to fall back on. I can understand that. For it. Trying where I placed it. Something similar to this, it's not exactly like this, would be a Finesse Agent quick guide, and it shows you how to start the application, how to log in, what you're going to see. Now this is for an old version, and this is for a different client, but it just basically is going to be like I think 2 pages front and back that just kind of give you a quick reference of how to log in, how to initiate a conference, how to initiate a consult, or not initiate, you do it through the consult button, but what steps you have to take to actually make the conference happen and things like that. So that would be very helpful to you to have a condensed version of this 44-page PowerPoint presentation. Don't know if there was a link in the email that you received. I think the link that was in the invite that you got may have been this 44-page PowerPoint presentation, or was it the cheat sheet? I don't know what he included. I did not get copied on that. I had no idea how many people were coming to the session this afternoon. So I was somewhat surprised that there were close to 50 of you, which is great. I don't know what David included in your invite. It have been the link to, okay, it's the 44-page one. That is the PowerPoint presentation that I did, which is fine. But if you would like to have something a little bit quicker, there is a quick reference guide that I believe he has in soft copy that I had provided to him that he would be able to send to you. Yeah, 4 pages might get a little bit cumbersome when you're trying to quickly look for something. Whereas if you have a 4-pager, that might be a little bit better. The print on it's a little bit small, so if you have mature eyes, it might be a little bit more difficult to see. But looking through 4 pages is better than looking through 44 pages. And stop the recording.